There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonkō Table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonkō Table, the table that will make their dreams come true.
Yo, folks, welcome to the latest edition of the Yonkō Table. Yes, if you listen, that is the voice of the one GrandMasterHoop. Yes, that is me, and there is no Dr. Jace today again. He has not got on the Euphoria train, and that's okay because it's me and a host of Supernovas, and we're going to get through this. And yes, I did say Euphoria. We are back to cover the latest and greatest in Euphoria with episode 4 of season 2. And again, this series really knows how to deliver on all fronts. Can't get enough. And that's why we're here. So who else is here at the table? Well, let's hear who's featured on the table today. All right, and we have a newcomer today. First time to the Yonkō Table, we have Niece's Pieces. What brings you to the table today?
Well, GrandMasterHoop, I love Euphoria, and I know you're aware of this. We talked about this last week, and you brought this to my attention. And I love any excuse to talk about Euphoria and the messy-ass characters. So, wait, can we curse on this?
Yes, you can. You can curse. It's okay.
Wait, can I curse? Because I curse a lot. So yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm just excited to. I heard last week's conversation. I feel like everyone had really thoughtful insights on the characters and how the season's going so far. So I was just really excited to join. So thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're excited. I'm glad that you're here. And yes, again, as far as the Euphoria train is taking off within the Yonkō Table, I was like, Niece's Pieces would be a good addition. Let me get her on. So thank you for being here. Without further ado, folks, let's get into it. I mean, I feel it's just really easy just to start with the opening scene. But overall thoughts, again, I don't think there's one episode of this series that I feel like is a bad. I enjoyed this episode throughout. Not as much as episode 3 of season 2, but this one still had its poignant moments that definitely, separated from the rest, whether it be the opening or the ending. It's still a lot of fun to watch, and I'm enjoying every moment. But how about that opening scene? Again, I feel they do just a very good job at making you trip, and you might not even be tripping. But
I personally loved it. I loved it.
Yes.
So cool.
Right.
And I have to do this because of last week. If you didn't see the Jules special episode, then you kind of miss out on some like deeper level stuff from that. So GrandMaster, did you get a chance to watch it?
Yes.
Are you sure?
No.
Yeah, I thought so.
What about Nino? What about Nino? He just read Wikipedia.
And
you're saying if this ship is going down, I'm bringing people with me. How
correct? I ain't going alone. But here, you can go further. That's okay. I will watch it. You can give more context because, again, I don't know. It's just they're so creative in how they do these scenes. Like when they zoomed in on her Frida Kahlo inspired look, right? That was Frida Kahlo, no?
Yeah, and honestly, like it took me a hot second to realize that was Jules. I'm like, Frida.
Right.
It's a human. Oh my God, that's Jules. So, but in that Jules special opening, and I thank you, DoctaReeka, for really pressuring and bullying me to watch it. I'm just kidding, but for telling me to watch it, because like you get into that insight on like who Jules is, and with that, like she kind of like was questioning femininity, and like also her ideas of like, does she really like Rue? Like she has her whole thought process on what a quote unquote perfect life would kind of look like and her fantasies and stuff. And for us to see this level of kind of Jules accepting her, I guess, like the person that she chooses to be with, which ends up being Rue, like I think that like impacted it on like a deeper level on that. So like seeing that and seeing like the scenes with like the Titanic and Brokeback Mountain,
the romance movie montage.
It was just it was so cool and so like fun to see. Anybody else want to like talk about that?
Real quick, are you saying that was Jules's fantasy? Kame, you could go after this because I didn't think it was Jules's fantasy, but now
no, it's not Jules's fantasy, but like in that Jules special, like there's some times that she would fantasize like situations, and it would be like her and a guy, you know, like it was like always like she changed so that way she can be this idea of femininity and to be with like ideally like a guy. But then now she's kind of like embraced the idea of her lesbianic tendencies or whatever you want to, I don't know if that's the appropriate way to say it, but like just the fact that she wants to be with Rue. And so like, it was a very like, you saw a wall kind of come down for Jules. And I feel like this episode weighed a lot more in that aspect because I literally just saw that Jules special.
I gotta watch that special. Kame Chris, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the Brokeback Mountain was like my favorite one, and I was trying to as well understand if this was if she was like fantasizing or if this was just something that they were doing for her, in a sense of like just trying to go ahead and I guess give a little bit more of an understanding of what her character is supposed to be, because I guess you can kind of get lost in who Jules is. And she can be like this really, like from the beginning, you would think she was this like really crazy out there, like do it with whoever, you know, type girl with all these bodies. And then she has this like very shy side to her that's like very reserved, where she, you know, you expect her to be the girl to like walk around and be like, you know, just around the high school, like fuck off guy. Like she just kind of like says nothing, you know, she's like just in her own lane. And I think that could be because of who she is. And I think I just thought that was like a separate side of they're just showing like putting more character to Jules than what we like think or what we like perceive to know of her. But I thought it was cool though. And then it was, I guess, a little insight of like how she like kind of, I guess, just wants that romance with Rue. And then, but in real life, you know, she's actually, you know, she actually like has like different desires probably, but she just may be infatuated like how we were with the whole, like every, you know, little thing that they were doing for like her and Rue, which is like the best thing ever. But yeah, I think that, I guess that's what I interpreted when I was watching it.
Funny that you mentioned that's what she wants with Rue, because that's not what she's getting with Rue. You know, and
Exactly.
right, and goodness, I mean, Niece's Pieces said it the best as far as people being messy. Is that what's going on? Is that what's pushing Jules towards Elliot? Because oh man, I don't know. I'm rooting for Rue and Jules, but I get it. I mean, like, I'm confused. I'm honestly confused. How do you not know this girl is like
Team Jules and Elliot?
Listen, I don't trust this man, Elliot. I think
Dope.
I don't think it's his fault at all, but I don't think that he is a good influence over either of them, and it's causing them to regress in their character arcs. And I think that's what this season is about. Because so far everyone has kind of regressed after trying to make a step forward. They've regressed into different versions of themselves. And for some people, regression is progress. You know, like let's say for Cal, which we'll get to him, regression into I guess that high school mindset that we saw last week is progress. I'm not saying it's good progress, but and then for everybody else, you know, Rue relapsed, Jules, and correct me for everybody who actually watched the special and didn't just read the Spark Notes, but Jules said that she didn't want her, or wanted her was focusing her femininity to appease like men, like in the male gaze, and then she comes to the conclusion that she's not interested in men, like at the beginning, like he says at the beginning of the season. And then for this relationship with Elliot to come in, it just kind of I don't know if that's progress or regress. I don't know where we stand right now with Jules.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny. The more like I thought about like what Elliot is supposed to like represent, like I just thought about like how he brings out both Rue's and Jules' vices. So Jules' vice being sex, and then Rue's vice being drugs. Like he brings that out of both of them, which I thought was like interesting. I think he unintentionally, I don't think he means to be messy, but he just doesn't realize how his actions affects the people around him. Like the Dominic kind of explained that in at the end of the episode. Like I don't think he really means any harm. He just doesn't really realize like what his actions does to the people around him. Because I think he has good intentions.
I think he knows he's being
I think
messy.
he knows. I think he
he's
knows.
doing it.
But he doesn't know. I don't know. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because
Man, I'm Team Elliot though. I kind of like him, you know, like I know I'm gonna get castigated for this, but like he's just trying to live his life. He bumped into this girl at a party. They did drugs together, and he's like, "Oh, okay, this is cool." Him not really knowing like her background of being like an addict and like overdosing and all that stuff. He thought that Rue was just a cool person, and then he got interrogated by Jules. He's just trying to be his own person, and then like now he has a thing for Rue, but he also has a thing for Jules. I mean, he is like a little on the messy side. All right, you guys.
You're
right.
enabler.
He is messy, but
He's
still,
an
like
enabler.
Messy, because
Right.
how do you know this girl's on drugs and you know she's gonna drink, but you're gonna go drive to the damn liquor store or go get beer and then say you can't drink. You know.
Oh my god!
Like,
yeah, why would you suggest that when you know that there's like an addict around you?
Exactly.
And you know that you're covering for this said addict, and then chastise this said addict. It all it seemed like it just seemed like he was like, "Yo, Rue, like I don't know, maybe he was like very short-sighted, and then he was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done this," and then it just happened.
To play devil's advocate, just like trying to think of like what my mind was like in high school. Honestly, I don't think most kids that age really understand like addiction to the level like most adults do. They probably get, they understand like, oh, someone could die from, but I don't think they really understand like what we experienced with Rue in like the last episode, the manipulation that goes behind anything to get that next fix. Like they don't understand that. So in Elliot's defense, I think like what you said, he kind of realized it like once he saw her cracking the can open, he's like, oh shit, like you shouldn't be doing that. Like he thought he was trying to be like fun and try to have like, trying to be fun, but he didn't like realize the consequences to his actions of doing that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, like Jules could have also said like, no, we really shouldn't, because like we don't want Rue to start drinking. Like they were both under the impression like, okay, this is really for us two, not Jules. And then also he's acting selfishly because he's like, well, I didn't take the drugs, so I could drink. But then when he saw that Rue did do the drugs and she was drinking, he's like, yo, you need to chill. Like, what are you doing, crazy pants? And so now like that's when I feel like I kind of feel for him if he is as innocent as we want him to be. But again, like who knows? Maybe he does have a different ulterior motive. I don't know.
I think he's similar to a lot of it. I don't think any of them are innocent. I don't think any of them are like, I mean, there's a few that have done like bad things, but holistically, I think what we talked about last week, everybody's messy in some type of way, have done something really fucked up. So there's like the spectrum of like, you have Nate, who somebody is in jail because of him. And then you have like Lexi, who's on this other side, who is also still not doing great things as far as like putting people's business up into her play, which I guess we'll soon find out kind of the results of. But I think all of them, one, if we remember, despite all of them being played by adults, they are supposed to be 16, 17-ish. And so none of them are going to make good decisions. And so my feelings of Elliot, I still don't really know how I feel about him, but I think there's an element of like that short-sightedness that was just mentioned as far as like, oh yeah, let's do this because it'd be fun. Then, oh shit, maybe that actually wasn't a good idea. Or saying one thing that seems really intentional as far as like how he talked about Jules and how he talks about sex with Jules. That does seem intentional, the ways in which they have those conversations. But then there's all other interactions that seem kind of organic and just like how people would interact. So I think with each of the characters, Elliot included, there's like an element of like, you're still a teenager who has no fucking idea what you're doing, but you're also a person who's maybe doing specific things for your own gain.
He just wanted to fuck Jules. I think that was really it. I think
did he
want to
did he want to like fuck both of them?
He did say we should all just fuck. He did say that.
But I think he noticed like Rue was like so far gone, like, you know, like it just seemed like very, 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 very intentional.
I do get what I will say is, I do get some vibes that he fetishizes Jules based off of like reflecting on some conversation and comments that he's made since they've interacted with one another, and like some of the dares he's asked her to do that I'm just like, okay, dude, we're like skirting the line of where boundaries are in terms of what you ask about people. So I do get that element of like, I don't know if you really see her as like a person more so than you see elements of her body or wanting to have sex with her for particular reasons. So I do get that vibe from him.
And he dropped Rue in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, he did do that. Yeah.
Like,
what do you do when someone's, you know, saying, let me go, let me out the car?
You drive them home, and then you say, all right, I drove you home. It doesn't matter what you do from now.
Exactly.
It's not my problem.
As stated though, they are young, they are impressionable, they make mistakes, they're not always going to have the best foresight. I give Elliot a lot of benefit of the doubt too. Like there's elements of good in him clearly, but then it feels at times he's the devil on the shoulder, as I don't know who said, as far as the vices go, you know, one moment he's like, let's do drugs, Rue, and then he's in the bathroom and he notices Rue had the, you know, the grinded whatever on the counter, and he wipes it up knowing that, you know, she's probably had enough. And you know, he's teaching Jules how to eat pussy. And then, you know, the next moment he's over here making out with Jules on the bed. And it's like, okay,
I thought it went more than that.
I don't know. It was the whole hand thing. The point, I feel he's a guy who wants to be a good guy, but he knows he's like, you know, craving something more.
Push and pull.
Yeah, push and pull.
But why didn't they? So two things that happened that I was like, okay, they're doing the most, because when it got back to his place, they didn't even check on Rue. They didn't like, he got home, or like what Jules did was turn her phone off. She turned her phone off. Like, you truly don't care. Like, you truly are over it or something. But I know Rue just like kind of like told her she couldn't stand her, but come on, bro. Like, you know that girl's like on mad drugs and drinking, you know, like.
I took that as whatever she was about to do with Elliot, she did not want to be interrupted with, you know, Rue in the back of her mind. That's what I took it as. I mean, bad
what Nino
move.
shared earlier about that regression, and then if you do connect it with a lot of what was shared within, especially what's happening with Jules and what's happening with Rue, what was shared within their specials and where we're seeing them now, I think that was a good representation of that, like a step back from maybe a step forward that she had as far as revelations.
Break them
and
down.
especially when this reminds me, now that we're talking about it, it reminds me of season 1 Jules, who, even though they'd had nothing to do, Jules would not even text, even though with the phone's in her hand, and she was talking to Tyler, which was really Nate, she wouldn't text Rue back or even tell her like what was going on until hours later, because she was just having such a great time, you know, on whatever app she was using, talking to Nate. So it kind of reminds me of that she was just like, I'm putting everything out of my mind and trying to
putting my sole attention on this one thing and not trying to have anything linger in the back of my head.
And I mean, I feel bad for Jules too, because perception's reality. She doesn't think that, or I don't know if she really knows if Rue is on drugs. She just knows that Rue took some sips of alcohol, had some weed, and then she said those things, you know, and it kind of triggers back to the Jules special, where like she didn't really want to get involved with her mom, who is an addict, and like she has a really hard relationship with her mom. And even like the therapist in that special was saying how you compare your mom and Rue a lot, and so sometimes like you kind of put yourself into that situation. And I'm sure DoctaReeka can also like explain a little bit more about like the duality between those two.
It was a lot of what we talked about last week, which we saw some play out towards the end of the episode with Nate and Cal. But I think it's just, you know, whatever idea you have in your head based off of the experiences you have growing up, that sometimes they're really hard to remake as you're getting older. And so she had, like, we saw a lot of the disappointment and the difficult relationship she had with her mother. And I think there were, based off of what we saw in this episode, I think there's maybe a lot of like not wanting to see things and not wanting to acknowledge that maybe something was going on with Rue until someone said like, yeah, you can't ignore it. Like, this is what's happening. She has been taking drugs. She has relapsed. Like, you know, so I think there was an element of like, if I just don't say that it's there, I don't have to believe that it's there, because I could get wrapped up in this cycle all over again, like what she experienced with her mother. So I don't think it's anything complicated. I don't think you need a psych degree to really understand just how relationship dynamics can really be harmful.
And it's also interesting to see like the duality of it too, of like the beginning, how you have the whole montage of them like being in love, the romantic scenes and all that stuff, and then for it to end the way that it ended. And I feel like that's like that for a lot of the characters. Like even Cassie, like her first opening scene was her going crazy on Nate, and then ending off like her being crazy on herself. You know, like I feel like there's a lot of duality in this episode.
Well, I looked at the duality of it. You had the trio, the messy trio of Jules, Elliot, and Rue. Now let's look at another trio of Maddy, Cassie, and Nate, which is I don't know which one you would call messier, but there's a lot to take apart from all this. I don't know. I mean, Maddy said it best in the beginning when Nate came over. She's like, "You ruined me." You know, it's just like I think she recognizes their toxicity finally, but it's still entertaining it to a degree that, I mean, again, that's toxicity. You know, you say no, it comes back. You like, it's like the bait. It's the carrot in front of the mule. Will you keep going after it, or will you pick up this carrot off the ground? And Maddy is a smart mule. She's a smart donkey. This is a terrible analogy, but I feel, again, we know Maddy's got a lot of pieces, you know, like the disc for one, you know, which Nate still doesn't know she has. She can entertain, you know what, Nate's the donkey. She can entertain this donkey, this jackass, and just let it kind of keep going however she wants, because she's got the trump card at the end of the day. But then you got someone like Cassie. I mean, I would like to probably hear from y'all, but I don't know. I look at Cassie, I'm like, come on, Cass. I need you to be stronger. I need you to put that bottle down.
At the beginning, she was like, she was giving Nate the ultimatum. I was like, all right, put his ass in place. Like, please, someone needs to, like, you want to know something? I just found it so funny that like Nate was talking about like, oh, that's called blackmail. You can't do that. And I was just like, Nate, if you don't shut the fuck up right now, and it really just turns into like this. I really am sad that Maddy is kind of getting thrown to the wayside in this relationship exploration, because this dynamic is really an angle where Maddy is like kind of like the object in the way of Cassie and Nate, which is really sad to see her character like kind of reduced. And all she does is like, no, like, you know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. You're toxic for me. And that's all she does for the, you know, for most of the entire dynamic in this between them. And I'm kind of tired. I'm tired of seeing Cassie, you know, what do you call it? Cassie just like being on the floor, hitting rock bottom, and then sinking deeper, and then exploring new rock bottom, and then it just keep going. Like she just keeps going. I really don't know how she's doing it, and it's just really sad to see.
It is sad to see. Goodness
but I love it.
I mean, it's more entertaining.
Can I just give Sydney Sweeney her flowers for the performance that she put on in this last episode? Like, no, I don't care what anybody says. Like, she killed it. Like, that entire last episode, she killed it. I just like look, like I can't get over this face.
Okay, and see, and then that scene too, because you know the whole time she's like screaming apologies at Maddy. Well, Maddy has no idea. Maddy thinks it's about like the throwing up, but she's over here saying sorry. I interpret it as, you know, I'm sorry, I'm in love with Nate, and like
I thought she was gonna say it too. I was like, say it,
right?
She wouldn't. I was like, damn, she's too drunk.
I think Maddy's catching on though.
Oh yeah, Maddy knows. I was gonna say that. Oh, she knows that side eye in the hot tub. Oh, she knew. She said, "Oh, this bitch is fucking."
I don't think she knows it's Cassie, but she knows something is up because, like we were saying earlier, with the whole, why'd you say it so definitive? Like
her clapping and everything.
She's a woman of intuition. She knows that there's something not right. Her gut is telling her something.
Right, and then, you know, Nate again, he got defensive too. You know.
Like Nate is in such a fragile place because, like, all right, he hooked up with his girl's best friend. This girl ends up telling him that she's crazy. So if Cassie ever to Maddy about anything, Maddy, out of revenge, could exploit with the disc, you know? So he's like, okay, I got to keep her in line, and now I got to keep her in line, and I got to try not to go crazy. And I don't know, like, I feel like Nate is just like, this is kind of what happens when a possum is like has their back against the wall. They're like trying to like hiss and stuff and try to like make sure that like the situation's under control, because if not, all hell's gonna break loose. I don't know.
Nate's a dummy for going to that party, first of all. Like, you set yourself up. Like, but you know what?
Maddy's party.
Yeah,
I was
Maddy's
thinking about
party.
the party where he got knocked in the head by Fez. What a great moment.
Oh, well, he probably, in retrospect, should haven't gone to that party either. But, you know, hey, it's hard to like Cassie when you see her grovel at the feet of Nate Jacobs. But you know what? She came strutting down that stairwell in that swimsuit. You know, she knew what she was doing. Right. You know, I give her props. You know, she's like, I'm going to get this man. That's my man. And, I mean, it backfired.
It's
you don't
just
want
so sad. Like, I think part of it is like she has no idea who she is, like being outside of a relationship.
Yes.
And I think much of her identity is wrapped up in that. So it's like, I have to hold on to this because what do I have left? Which is so sad, first of all. But I think what was interesting too, Nino had brought this up in terms of like not getting enough Maddy, is we got to see moments where she was being a really good friend, which is maybe not something we saw a lot of in the first season because of that toxic relationship with Nate and their dynamic. But she had a moment with Kat where she checked in on her. They had some conversation. She gave her encouraging words. She like cried reading and looking at the scrapbook that Cassie gave her. Like there was just a lot of like, you could see what she's like when she's not like attached to Nate. And then you see what Cassie is like when she is attached to him. And there's the common denominator is just like this person who he got a lot to work through on his own that is certainly impacting his relationships, that these women are just Yeah, it's not good. So I want better for Cassie and for Maddy and for everybody really, but
Right. Everybody.
And you know,
Jacobs.
to DoctaReeka's point, and this is tying. This is a multi thought right here, but it kind of makes me think about also how maybe Cassie and Nate were just really in really bad places, and they're just colliding with each other, and they're just bringing out the absolute worst in each other. And this is where I'm choosing to say that maybe, you know, McKay, after he broke up with Cassie, he is also living his best life in college and not worrying about his high school friends, which he should just, you know, that's where I'm picturing it. And the only reason I bring McKay up is because there is as many people pointed out about how we're getting such a Cassie centered season right now. Like there's been a lot of, especially with the last night's episode, where we got a lot of her dancing, you know, and that's taking up a lot of airtime. But, you know, there was a rumor that said McKay's actor didn't agree where his storyline was going, so the writer kind of wrote him off and gave a lot of his scenes to Cassie. So that's why
I heard the same thing about Kat. It was something similar in terms of like Barbie didn't like some of the choices that were being made about her character, and that she's supposed to have more scenes, but instead they were given space to other folks because she wanted a little bit more input on her character, similar to some of the how, like, I imagine Zendaya has input, and so does Hunter with Jules, and that also wasn't agreed upon. So that's why we see a little bit less of her too. Again, it's a rumor, but also we haven't really seen a lot of Kat. So
that's true. But the moments we do see of her, they're shot and directed so beautifully. Like her and Ethan sitting in the car. I was like, damn, what am I looking at? It was so good. That scene when we got earlier in the season with the love yourself with the influencers, so good. But it just makes me, all this focus on these characters makes me wish for like what could have been done with the other characters, you know, that and were people's storylines that I really cared about, like Kat.
And with that Kat thing, like, I don't know if you guys have listened to the new Adele album because it's awesome, but there's like one part in one of the songs where she's like crying over like the speakerphone, saying like, I've always like been alone, but I've never felt lonely. And like I feel like with Kat, like even when she was alone, it wasn't necessarily like a loneliness feeling she was feeling, but then now that she's with Ethan, she is getting a little bit of that loneliness feeling. So that way, like that car driving with literally nothing around it in the void, I'm like, ooh, I feel that, you know? Like, I wish we did have more Kat scenes.
I mean, who knows? She might get, you know, I would say this is kind of like your mid-season point if this season is 8 episodes long. Now, granted, there ain't much story to really go off of other than her and Ethan at this point, but maybe we'll see the regression, as Nino has pointed out. You know, this feeling of loneliness she's feeling, maybe she'll regress to more of the Kitty Queen type of era that she's been possibly alluding to earlier on in this season to go back to. But I definitely agree. In those short scenes we do get with her, they're definitely still as impactful as, you know, the more targeted scenes with her. But
also, can we just say that the actress that plays Cassie, she needs to get recognized for some sort of award because
she's making a lot of press rounds right now.
She is, yeah. She's campaigning.
Yeah, I think
it was just so.
Right. Oh my gosh. I mean, I was disgusted. Oh goodness gracious. And then I don't want to. It was a great scene. That was a lot. That was the tension was there, right? If the tension was there, and honestly, that vomit saved everybody. That vomit saved Nate, saved her. It was welcome. It was needed. That was the perfect exit. But how about Lexi, you know, taking this all in? A fly on the wall. I really like those scenes. again, the show is so intricate on how they deliver these scenes, but literally
her fight scene with her sister.
Yes, when she was fighting, and yes, and the actors were reading the lines, and then she didn't name anybody after their actual character, so you have to keep up with okay, that actor's playing Lexi, that actor's playing Cassie. I really want to see this play. I'm invested.
I'm wondering why only McKay was named. Like I didn't like everyone else, like names changed, but like someone mentioned the actress who was playing Cassie said McKay's name when she was like portraying Cassie's role.
Ooh.
So I thought that was interesting. And that's really messy because that's obviously
super messy.
Like if there's any indication who these characters could be now, if you name drop McKay, right?
It's
especially the implication of like Lexi just asked the principal or the vice principal, like, "Hey, can I put on this show?" And now people put two and two together that it's gonna be like a slam piece against all these people. It's like, ooh, that's not gonna be good.
I don't like Lexi. I do not like her.
You don't like Lexi?
No, she's the messiest one for making this play. Like, she is the messiest one. And she's kind of like...
She's airing out the laundry.
I don't want to say, like, she's weird or anything, but it's a bizarre when she, like, for her to go into, like, make things about her. Like, the last episode where she, like, had that whole, like, a director's moment. And then like she's doing this with the play, and I'm like, and then she's staring at her sister this entire time, and I know she's worried, but like, you can't, like, she's so weird about it because she's putting it in the play. Like she lives for this like messiness, and it's just like, Lexi, come to real life. Nobody wants to like for you to say all this. Like, it's not necessary. And you're gonna start so much crap, girl. And you're the quietest one. You want everybody to like not know you, then hate you. Like, what is wrong with you?
I know. Oh my God! You know what? That got me heated coming.
Compose yourself, Compose yourself.
As a writer, I totally understand where Lexi's coming from, because this is how, like, she experiences the world. She feels like she's completely shut out from everybody, from every emotional connection, because everyone is either going to do other things and or being messy, and she's literally like, even her own father looked her dead in the face and was like, and then left after kind of, and from Lexi's perspective, it's kind of like he chose Cassie over me to say goodbye to, in a way. And yes, she is messy for writing this play, but this is how she's trying to connect to the world. This is where she's trying to, like, I don't know what this play is going to happen, and maybe everything that you say is right. Maybe the play is a complete slam piece where she just says, fuck all these people, and here is also, we're going to play this thing that I stole from Maddy, and it turns out to be the sex tape of Calendis, and then just launch it into a new degree of messy. But either way, I know that's not going to happen. But if it does happen, I'll swallow my words. I really gotta defend her. I gotta defend her, and I gotta defend Fez. They need to have. Let me tell you something. I went on Twitter and watched a fan-made compilation, and I watched it like around 10 times, and I was like, "This is bringing me so much joy."
Wait, a compilation of what? Of just Fez and
it was only 49 seconds.
Yeah, they don't have that much screen time together.
I know.
It was very cute.
It is very cute. I loved it, and I was just like, I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them. She is messy, but you're gonna tell me that she's the messiest one? That is right there.
Yes, because it's none of her business.
Listen,
none of that is her business.
That's
why she's messy.
If this play comes to fruition, these might spark the conversations that half these characters need to have already been having. So
it's not her job.
It's not her job, but it's not necessarily it's like, it's not that
It's-
evil, I guess.
It's
shed
not
light on
her
these
job.
things.
Think about that.
It's not her job. You're right. It's not her job, but
I don't know.
it's perspective.
She
Like,
got
I love-
cussed out by me in high school. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, like I love Lexi, but like, you know, thinking realistically, like if someone were to put my stuff on blast, even if it was needed or necessary, I don't care. That's not your job to be putting my shit out there. That's just me
Exactly.
though.
I don't
But
care if
for
I'm a
the
drug
show
addict.
purposes, I think it might be necessary.
Drop that shit,
for
Lexi.
Lexi to drop this.
Drop.
I think it might be very necessary for the show. I see both sides. So I love Lexi regardless though, but I'm really interested, especially if you notice, like, even when they were taking the picture, like she was hiding behind, like she was very like fly on the wall this episode. I'm wondering why.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's something about her that is just like beyond messy. Like why did you even come to this party? Like you're not
It's
even
at her
interacting
house.
with
It's
anyone.
at her house.
But like
It's at her house.
But like why
Lock
even
her-
okay, then why even throw it if you're not even gonna like interact? Like your mom's way more fun than everybody else. Like
All right, the mom is an
Kame
interesting
Chris-
character of herself.
Kame Chris wants Lexi to be like Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets. I'll be up in my room, not making a sound and pretending like I don't
yes,
exist.
like why
That's what
even
you-
come down?
I'm
Stay
I'm
in your
dead.
room. These are barely your friends. Like, come on.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that's so mean.
Yeah, you're
These are
being
Cassie's
mean.
friends.
He likes alone.
oh
But I was also gonna make a point too, because I do the friendship dynamic is what I noticed, like especially last episode, that they really care about each other. Like with Maddy, like when they're all in the bathroom, they're like, "Rude, you're on drugs." Like they're like, "What?" Like the way they're about to jump her because they care so much. I'm like, and then they don't. And I noticed as well, they don't like fight amongst each other too much.
They don't.
Like they don't like do that. Like it's always super supportive. And I think going back to Lexi, I don't think she fits in. So I think it's so weird what she's doing because it's absolutely none of her business, like at all. Like any of this. It's like she's been very like, I'm the main character of my own story, and I just sit back while I watch everyone have a fucking mess of a life. And then it's like you can't, and then you want to expose her. I don't know. Something about that is very off-putting, and the fact that all those girls are so like close with each other and like they're really like supportive, except Cassie in this moment, but for what she's doing to Maddy. But I'd say like they're very like just all together, and you can tell. Like that's why I point Lexi out too, because you can tell she doesn't have the same relationship, with everybody like they all do with each other. And I think she, the way she's outcasted too, and then she's standing behind corners watching her sister act a fool, be drunk, and watching everybody else. It's just very unsettling.
You're getting really into.
She's inserting herself with this play. She's letting people know she's been there the whole time.
Yeah. There's a what do you call it? There's an academic what do you call it? An academic argument or like way of thought that what Kame Chris is talking about, and it's really the politics of witness. Like, just because you witness something, like especially when as a writer, you have to, and especially when you're talking about real things that maybe you're adjacent to, but it's not actually happening to you. Like there needs to always be like a certain distance that you have to keep, because there is always going to be a politic of witnessing. Like, are you witnessing? Are you glamorizing? Are you like glorifying? And it could be like these really traumatic things that you're doing these things to, but if they're not directly happening to you, there's a case to be made. Maybe you shouldn't write this. But I don't know if that's what Lexi is doing. I think Lexi is trying to make sense of it through her art form rather than just be like, I'm gonna dish out all the dirty laundry. I think she's really coming from a place of, I don't understand. Hopefully I'm right, because like I said, if I'm wrong, I'll eat my words on the podcast. I'll be like, Kame Chris is right and I am wrong, and I have been wrong from the very beginning. But I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt just because I know where at least she's coming from as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
So
he really wants this Fez Lexi thing to be pure and true.
I also just think, I mean, both things could be true. I think she could just be airing them out and trying to process what she's experiencing. I think one thing that the show has done well, and I will keep saying it, and I've said it already, is just like the fact that people hold multiple things at once. That like we saw Cal's story, and I know we're gonna get to him because he had his big moment. Like we saw his backstory, and you could feel sympathy with that, but also be like, you're also a piece of shit. And so I think with Lexi, it's like, why are you telling these people's business? It's not yours to tell, but you're also trying to process your own trauma and what you've been going through. Like we only got a snippet of even her reaction to like Rue's overdose. And like, this is her best friend since childhood, who now there's distance between them. And like, so there's all of this like unprocessed, I imagine, grief and loss that is now being kind of channeled through this play. That's also just like, you should be telling people about this. So I think both things can be true, frankly.
Nobody cares for
right.
Oklahoma. We need this play.
You're right, though.
Right. Real quick. I mean, it was really quick scene. Fez. We get an update on Fez. Baby mama Mouse. Did they say it was Mouse?
Yeah.
The dude that he killed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Looks like they're gonna be running into some trouble. We don't know what they did with that body, right?
No, I don't think so.
Hopefully, they put it in some sulfuric acid, for fun.
They
as
are
a science
not.
experiment. I don't condone anything. So take my advice.
Come on, is that a Breaking Bad reference?
Yes, of course it is.
Cool.
Ethan.
Cool. Just make...
Sure, whatever gets the heat off.
No, yeah, no, he knows it's a Breaking Bad reference.
Of course.
Worth putting out there into the air. We'll see the repercussions of those actions. Ashtray definitely did the killing blow. Poor little guy. He's in the life, and now he's taking whatever blunt force comes after this. We'll see. I feel we're getting to the big talking point, but real quick before we get there, I think worth mentioning is the church scene.
Yes.
Very symbolic. I took it as everyone's confessional type. I thought that was my interpretation. I feel she was at a point of confessing as to why she keeps coming back to the drugs, coming back to the high, and it's the loss of her father. I feel we really haven't explored that side of, or like her reaction, other than the fact that, she was like pretty much there when he passed, or at least was, she was constantly visiting him in the hospital during treatment and whatnot. And that inadvertently introduced her to whatever drug he was on.
With a cameo from Labyrinth.
Right.
And
the music's so good.
It was really emotional, especially like hearing her say like that she's doing this, I think subconsciously, so that she can be closer to her dad. But I think it's closer to her dad, like death wise, like it's
looking at the
really
gates.
darkened, but it's like really like, it just hits you so hard. And like her just walking through the church, because we literally saw the first episode of Euphoria before watching this new episode as well. And in the first episode, she's walking to like a casket in rehab. So like she's walking in there. It's like part of like the rehab training to like kind of, this is what your life is going to be like if you continue doing drugs. And like, it was kind of like dark, but it was literally, I think, the same exact church from the first episode. And like, we got to see like her interactions with her dad. And she said like, I wish I can kind of pinpoint one thing in my life that led me to do drugs, but or it would be easier too if I would have just said like, I started to do drugs because my dad died, like, but it's not that simple. And then now we kind of come to this point where she does say like, this is something I can do to be closer to my dad because I kind of miss him, like, and it just gets to you.
Yeah, I don't, like you said, I don't think it's like the root. She mentioned it's not like the root, like why she started drugs. It's not the reason, like I think solely why, like part. But it just reminds you, like but she lost a parent at a young age, and it was just, that scene is just so heartbreaking. I don't know about you, but I cried. Like, just, you could just, and Zendaya just does a really good job just getting in her role and just making you feel those emotions, because I felt the heartbreak. I felt the pain, the unresolved trauma that she has, and just trying to find a way to escape it through all that, through drugs, you know, like her mental health, it not being stable, you know, losing a parent. That just does a lot on a person, especially for someone who's already unstable from like the moment she was born, you know. And it was that scene is just, it was just truly heartbreaking to watch that. I cried like a big baby, not gonna lie.
No, rightfully so. I think, and again, part of the narrative structure of this is that the dad really doesn't get mentioned too often at all, by at least Rue or the immediate family, as far as I can remember, other than the season 1 flashbacks of showing what happened. But when they, you know, when that scene, when they played, it makes perfect sense, right? Like that, you know, again, kind of what Nino was talking about, the regression, whatever progression she's maybe had as an individual overcoming the loss of a parent, it is still at the back of their mind. It's still, you know, tugging at their heartstrings, and you know, whatever it may be, something it would probably remind them, make them, you know, remember that feeling of what it had to have them. And yes, the drugs probably do give her a sense of, you know, connection to him. And yes, it's really sad in that sense that it takes the drugs to get there, but it makes sense that if she is looking for that feeling, that, you know, I mean, there are better ways to cope. However, again, like DoctaReeka has said before, like it's not justified, like the justification, like the means do not justify, you know, the doing. I'm not saying it correctly, but that's what I took from it. And again, layered character, you know. It's hard to root for her, but then you feel all this sympathy for her too, you know.
I think it's easy to root for her, honestly, and I only say that because I think this also was should be a reminder for a lot of people that I've seen and I heard last podcast that they weren't really feeling Rue. But I think we have to understand, even aside from her dad passing, Rue has had to take medication since a child and is not completely learned. And as a child, you're not going to understand moderation. And growing up, I couldn't imagine having to take an Adderall like every day, or like being scheduled for all this medication. And then she's also like she was pretty smart and like trying to deal with like, you know, not like falling into these like mental voids. And I think this is one of those voids we see where, you know, she's like so deep into, you know, being medicated that, you know, she's like remembering, you know, what makes her feel certain things, which would be her dad. And then I think as far as like her being in the church and seeing Jules and Elliot, like I think that was just her have to be reminded of like what is, I guess, the center of like what makes her smile and go. And I think even since she was a kid, it's been difficult. So I don't think anyone could understand what someone like that could really go through, and having to as well like hide it. And, you know, there's embarrassment when it comes to doing drugs, even though she's supposed to be doing drugs. So anytime, you know, drug addicts have a hard time understanding like, you know, it's really about like being comfortable and like wanting to change. And she hasn't even been comfortable to even do the medication she's supposed to be doing. So it's definitely nothing but a spiral effect from then all the way till now. So I would say like, I mean, because she's a drug addict, it's going to be so many things that come with it, as far as like, you know, her, you know, talking to Jules crazy, like, you know, like because she's not getting her way, she's just going to go off the walls and say like some really outrageous things. But again, if you know how drug addicts work, the way the mind works, that's not how they really are all the time. And if you can be understanding, you wouldn't have dropped her off in the middle of nowhere, and you would have been like, because they're kids, they probably weren't thinking too much about that. But at the same time, I mean, I would just forcibly tell her, like, look, you're going home. Like, she, just everything she does, I know people get upset with Rue about it, but you can't blame her. Like, you honestly can't. Like, it's literally been set up. Like, she's been set up to go this route for a very long time. She should work on, like, she should learn about, like, needing to change in moderation, but to say she, to be upset and everyone knowing that, expecting her to just go cold turkey and go to therapy and be, great again, that it's never going to work like that, because she needs it from the very beginning. So it's this balance of moderation she has to find that, will allow people to not hate her so much. And I think the church scene was a good reminder and wake up, and for people to like have, sympathy for her again and be like, she's not like this like asshole of a person, even though she just told, Jules off, but at least, we still know that she's a very good human being, just having to deal with psychological, issues that she's had for a very long time.
Right.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's less. I mean, I haven't seen as many people like hating on her. I think it's more of just like, we want you to make different choices because we care about you, because we know of your background. And it's hard. It really is. And I think part of it too is what's so important in recovery is like connection to other people. And the unfortunate thing is the connections that she has are also going through it. So people kind of around her they care about her, and I truly believe that her friends do. Clearly, we've seen some of those scenes, but also have their own things going on, and it takes so much focused attention and really intentional support. And I don't know if she's quite ready to take that in, though. I think clearly, because we saw the scene with Ali last episode, that part of wanting to make a change is actually investing in that change. And so I just don't know if she's at a place of readiness yet, which is the sad part. I think more than anything about Rue, I just feel like just sad because like of what she's gone through, but because things are so difficult and it's maybe hard for her to see like a path ahead that looks different for her. And so what's comforting and what's coping for her is to do what's continuously destructive. So.
Definitely. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask, does anyone also, maybe it was just me, maybe I never noticed this, that the maroon like jacket that she's always wearing was her dad's? I never noticed that.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
think about that.
Like in the dance sequences and
I think they mentioned something, or we'd seen something about that in season 1, but it's nice to get that reminder as far as the scene that we saw last night.
So further, just like re-emphasizing this is a girl who clearly misses her dad. I feel like that I didn't pick up on that until I was watching it with my friend. She's like, that's her dad's jacket. I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, she like, after her mom was like crying in the room in season 1 after his passing, she like picked it up in the parents' room. So.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't even pick that up. That's amazing.
Man. Yes, I am rooting for Rue. I want her to make better decisions and I want her to overcome all her struggles. Yes, the decision making is very frustrating to watch, but yes, there's just a girl crying on the inside over all these things. And, like we said too, they're in high school and they're being told to juggle all these different things. And it's like, yeah, you're preparing us for life, but some of us are experiencing life right now, and that's the stuff they are not showing you how to juggle in high school. She's what, 17 in the series, going to rehab already. She's probably like the youngest girl speaking at those, AA meetings. It's a lot, and they're just telling you, you're supposed to be good right away after one little rehab session. But as the Kame Chris said, it's gonna be a long time before she's recovered. I hope she gets
It's a
there.
lifelong process. Like
Right.
it's literally until the end of her life. It is. That's what recovery looks like.
They
Right.
spoke about it in the special.
Oh, did they?
I don't know.
Whoops.
Listen, I will be there next week. I will be with y'all here intellectually. I will be there.
Uh-huh.
I
I
vow.
will make it my mission.
That's
to
my
do
mission.
it before the weekend, for sure.
Yes, before the weekend. Yes. All right, I think to close things off. I mean, I would like to think this was more of the biggest scene, I guess, of the episode. This was like the, oh shoot. I like to call it the life and times of Cal Jacobs.
Forever iconic.
Thank you. I don't know, man. I joked earlier, but I think there's some symbolism in here that when Ashtray beat his head in, he kind of woke him up and cracked the skull. And as Darce liked to put out too, there was a green light that they showed on Derek and young Cal in the flashback scene. That same green light, I'm pretty sure I saw that in the bar scene again. And I like to think that as new life growing from, whatever, he's got that giant crack in his head. He's got new life sprouting out of it. And here we are, the life and times of Cal Jacobs.
Can someone help me understand something really quick? Was that his first time going to the bar, or was that not his first time going to the bar?
No,
It's the
that
first
he's
time
been.
since they went.
Yes, he said it's
Yeah.
been 25 years.
Yeah.
But the bartender kept on saying, "I've told you 10 times already. Stop."
In that
wrestling."
moment.
Yeah, we
it was
didn't
that
see-
night. That night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I'm like, man, is he just press it pants? Okay, no, that makes sense.
Which is also another I don't know if y'all want to call it beautiful or just a really layered storytelling. He wants to wrestle because what did him and Derek do in high school?
I know. It was cringy though. It was very cringy.
I mean, it was cringy, right?
I was like,
I bet he's drunk.
Oh, don't fight in the bar, please. I was like, oh.
I mean,
this is
everything about
even
Cal
being
is
drunk. This is not the place.
Yeah, no. No, he was violating. He was definitely violated. But it's the spiral. It's the spiral. You're watching him spiral, but you're also watching him kind of outwardly embracing what he's been, bottling up
Double
inside.
life.
Yeah, his double life. Right. And
Let me tell you, I was shook. I did not see this coming whatsoever. I figured there'd be some kind of moment of revelation, but further down the line, or when the tape was reappearing. So I certainly did not anticipate this. I don't know what y'all's first reactions were to that 10-minute monologue, basically.
I'm gonna say this. I thought the bar stuff was fine because that's him trying to be at peace with the world. Granted, he's drunk driving all the way there and he's violating the people in the bar. I did not see the ending coming though. I did not see that coming. And
Gagged.
oh my! And under the influence, I was like, "Oh no, Cal!" I mean, it's good you're coming out, but then it's bad because you're over here my biggest regret.
It was the moment his dick came out. My mouth was dropped the entire time from that moment on. I was like, oh, and then it just didn't
Completely
stop.
fucking
It
gagged.
did not stop. He pees on the floor. Wife comes out. He just keeps going, and I'm like, I've never been that drunk, so I don't understand this. I think he's just been wanting to do it. This has been something that has been sitting on his chest for a long time.
25 years, he said it. He said,
Yeah, it was like, boy, oh boy, he ain't drunk no more. I tell you that.
And I mean, he just wants to be free, and now I feel like he's free now. There's nothing holding him back. Even whatever's on that disc,
he don't care. Yeah, he doesn't care. Right. He's reached the
Probably
point.
should care.
He
Yeah,
should
like
care.
he cares. He got to jail for that.
Yes,
I
he
was
should
like,
care.
Should care.
I had to like think about it. I was like,
Who's
thinking
surprised?
should care, right?
Should care. I think what he aired them the fuck out. The library was open. He read the fuck out of that. Let me tell you. As soon as I was like, okay, whatever. He's drunk. And then as soon as he looks up at the sun and says, "Guess how many men I fucked?" I was like, oh, so we going there. Like we're going there.
He said, "I'm a motherfucking Rottweiler." He said,
We are going there. Talking to the wife and their relationship dynamics with the sons. We get a reminder that there is a son missing. It's just like caught like fucking Aaron caught a stray, like a horrendous stray. Let me tell you, he aired out his entire porn history, telling Nate, I regret you. I'm just like, shit, like all of it.
Yeah, and even just saying like, Nate, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, your life's a mystery.
That was like kind of hypocritical though, because how do you not know him, but he's your biggest regret? Like, what happened?
he called himself out though. He did say, my transgressions have kind of, fell out on y'all. So he admitted that part, but still, he's over here saying, y'all the biggest regrets of my life.
And I wonder if they regret, because he had pointed, I rewatched it before this just to see, and he pointed specifically at Nate. And
He did point at Nate, right?
I wonder in what ways it's because of like he sees himself in Nate, in terms of just like the relationship with sex and hiding and kind of living this double life and suppressing so much of yourself and really relying on this like hyper masculine facade, and just like it's the retweet, and there's some element, some element of just regret in that there's another basically him in the world. It was a lot.
Yeah, I rewatched the beginning of Stuntin' Like My Daddy episode, and like it was he had a moment where he was talking to Nate as a child. It's like, people are gonna hate you because you're different, and because like you aren't gonna be able to like just be part of the world or whatever. And like he was talking mainly about like himself. You can tell that he wasn't really talking about Nate. He was talking about himself. So I wonder if like that there is like a lot of like him pointing fingers at Nate, not just because Nate has like the disc and kind of made him like force him to become like a free person or like take those extreme measures, but I think it's like he knows that Nate is like a monster just like him.
Yeah, no, he definitely projects onto Nate. And now that you mention it, because what Stunning Like My Dad is like episode 2 of season 1, right? Right. Yeah, no, he projects, and I mean, in a sense, what he's doing, he's trying to show Nate that don't be like me. Don't bottle this up for 25 years. Don't live your life with regret. Now, again, he did not have to come for the wife and the camp counselor letters. He did not have to come for the other son and the porn history. But I felt when he pointed out Nate, and, it was basically saying, oh God, I forget that famous saying. It's like, do right by my actions, not by what I say. Do
what I say, not as I do.
There you go. That part. Right. Because, if there's a perfect example of how not to live your life, it's Cal Jacobs, because you've seen the repercussions of all such actions in every kind of faction. I guess the only thing we haven't seen yet at this point is whether or not there's a Derek still out there that Cal can reconnect with, and how that affected that relationship. How did that, the Derek spiral after Cal announces he's got a baby? Don't know. I would love to see the end of that story.
I would love to see it. I would watch a 3-part episode series for that. I would die.
I think we need to also see though, like Cal move past Derek, because he's been holding on to Derek for the past 25 years.
He did not move past Derek.
No, I'm saying we need to see him move past Derek and find like a different love that is somewhat similar to that of Derek's.
I don't know, because in the bar scene, he was fantasizing about Derek. He was holding that guy.
He was super drunk, but yeah, I mean, like, I get it. Like, he went back to that spot because he's like, I'm going back to like where I felt the most free I've ever felt.
And right, and his initial
that
thought
emotional
goes back.
connection.
Yes, goes to Derek. So
Because he talked about that.
and then
That's
after
what I'm
all the
saying.
guys
I
he's
want-
fucked, and all the
Fantastic.
women and transsexuals that he's fucked,
Yeah.
it still goes back to Derek.
He really just, I was shook. I was like, you got a whole 10 minutes and you used it all. All of it. And then you took a picture off the wall and said bye.
Again, I want to know what he's going to do with that picture. Like, why take that picture specifically?
Yeah, I need to, like, where is this other child?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't
And-
think it was such a thing, of course, until you mentioned it. But now I see everybody on Twitter talking about how he took the picture. Yeah, where's the third child? And I thought he was going to mention them, but he didn't. So, Mystery. I don't know. I'm kind of like, go for it, Cal. You do you. I mean,
Wait, but you said earlier, Ethan, that he's like your most favorite character.
he's my most favorite character to watch. He's the most intriguing, I feel. It's kind of like, as Nino said too, he's in a regressive state right now. He's made all this progress with his duality, and now he's making it singular. You know, he
Being
said,
real.
right, he's being real with himself. But with that said, you know, there is all the horrid actions he's already committed. So it's like, you know, here you are trying to be the realest version of yourself, but you need to come to terms with all of your past misdeeds and, you know, bring them to the light and, just like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Be redeemed. You need to redeem yourself and make amends to all these wrongs that you've committed before you can truly live this life that you want to live. I just find he's so intriguing to watch because there's the other aspect with, you know, you're still a father, Cal. You can go live this life, but part of making these wrongs right is dealing with what you just unloaded on your family. You know, like,
That
it
was
is not
necessary,
your
though.
family's fault, Cal, that all these things has happened. You know,
Well,
Does he want to make his wrongs right though? Like, I don't know if that's really his mission. I think
well,
his mission-
that's what we don't know because he was completely drunk in this scene. We need to see kind of a sober mindset.
I think the only person that he may have like went too far on was Nate, and that was only because everything he's done is the reason why Nate is the way he is about everything. So it's like, you know, as a grown man, he's responsible for all the things that have happened, and because he wasn't himself and didn't, you know, like cross that line of being free himself sooner. However, though, everybody is responsible. His wife is responsible because his wife. It looked like this was not a surprise to her.
Yeah, it didn't look. Yeah,
It looked like this was maybe the 6-7 time they've had this in 25 years. So, you know, I don't think I think she's responsible, and I think the oldest son is responsible for sitting there and trying to gaslight him, because he did make a point. He was like, "Oh, why are you sitting here like trying to, because I fucked a man, you know, if it was a stripper and I banged in front of mom." I'm like, hold his ass accountable. I think everybody, it doesn't matter if they're his child, the dog, whoever, everybody needs to be held accountable for fucking each other over at some point. And I think all families should do that, you know, at some point, you know, like hold each other accountable. But I think he does have to take responsibility though, because he is a grown man that did this to himself. So, you know,
Cal Jacobs need to sit at the red table with the whole family, the Jacobs family, the red table Jacobs family edition.
I would watch that.
I would love to see it. That'd be funny.
That'd be hilarious.
Like a red table talk. Story done on it. That'd be hilarious.
Well, something that I am interested It is. I'm pretty sure, and I mentioned this last week, that episode 5, a lot of the reviewers who got to see the first like 7 episodes said episode 5 is like the big episode in terms of something to do with like Rue and kind of interactions with family. So it's certainly, and based off the little clip that they showed, things seem like they're not going to go well.
Because they weren't trying to show a lot too in the preview. So
I mean, they showed that teacher. They showed that teacher.
They did, and I don't know if y'all noticed. And thanks, Twitter. The narration changed towards the end. Like Rue was talking, and then Jules was talking at the end. So a lot of folks were like speculating, is like, what does it mean that narration or the voice that was speaking has changed from?
Oh no.
Rue to Jules.
She wasn't narrating the whole episode at all.
The whole episode.
Do you think Rue could die in the series?
No.
There is a theory.
It's written in her contract. I'm pretty sure Sophia has in her contract, I am not dead until this thing is over.
I will say, there is a theory.
There is a theory
that she's already dead. And that this is like that's why she knows so much about each person, and that this is like a rehashing that she's speaking
I
from,
did
like,
see that. I did see, you know what? I was on Euphoria Twitter not too long ago.
Yeah, Euphoria Twitter got their theories, okay? Get up on there.
Yeah,
it's
they said this
interesting.
is a retelling, because how did she know about what's it called, Nate's dad's story?
Yeah, I said that too. I was like, how does she know so much? Right.
Yeah.
But Grant, I said an older Rue versus a dead Rue.
You did say that, yeah.
I never thought of it like that until I read that. I was like, I never thought about that before, and I'm just mind blown, because it could be a possibility.
We have no idea I don't know what's happening. I sit down in front of the TV, I press play, and just let it take me.
Just let it happen. Yep. Hope for the best.
Right, and it does take you. I was lost
really
in it again, and I did not try. I mean, I was trying to be lost in it, but I was like, is it really gonna make me lost? Immediately lost the first opening thing. Was that Jules naked lying down in the little painting?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I was lost in it. Right.
It wasn't my favorite episode, but I definitely enjoyed it up in the last few minutes of it.
Yes.
Caught my attention. I said, "Oh, we picking it up like that? Okay."
Yeah. Wait a minute. I didn't. Let me.
What about other men?
Actually, part of me was like, "Man, I hope Nate's not home." And here he comes out of the room. I was like, "They all about to get it."
Yup.
Yeah, and they did. And they did.
While looking at him, his penis. That's crazy.
Right.
That's a man thing to do, I guess.
I guess.
I'm nervous for the next episode.
I know y'all got me nervous now.
I'm nervous too.
Well, you know what? I was nervous, so I had to make sure y'all were too. So
great. Now we can all go into it with this nervous wreck of a feeling. Thank you.
Rue's dead. It is DoctaReeka's fault. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, look, I don't think she's dead. I just think something bad happened.
Something bad, really bad, is about to happen. Really bad.
I think this episode, because the review, don't blame me, blame the reviewers. They said, episode 5 is where
I'm done reading reviews.
Awry.
I'm over it. No more reviews.
I think her being in that church and everything and dancing with her dad was a sign of her overdosing.
Oh, some people did say that too. Yeah,
I did see that.
I saw that.
I mean, and if anything too, she's getting closer to her dad, who's already passed. So maybe this could be more illusion.
I don't know. I'm ready for episode 5.
I'm ready.
I mean, the chronological order of when you see her dad and when she was just dancing like this, I was like, oh, I guess it's not an overdose, because that's what I thought at first. And I was like, oh, she's right there dancing with her dad. I just thought she was just having a moment. But if it ain't the overdose, the teacher, one or the other is going to be the one.
She gonna get her money, okay?
She's gonna get her money. Right.
Rue is gonna go missing real quick.
I worry for the girl. I worry for the girl because ain't nobody knows she's on this venture. So maybe, nobody. So, well, goodness gracious, folks. I think we've covered just about everything with this past episode of Euphoria, episode 4. Oh my God, we didn't talk about the fake orgasm, but that's okay. I thought it was really funny, especially when Jules also reenacted it too. It was really awkward. It was really cringe, but that's great television. I don't know if y'all have any quick little thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think you covered it.
Cool.
Yep, pretty much.
Awesome. I
was gonna say, I was actually gonna bring that up with the whole Elliot thing. I was gonna say because she told him about that, I think he was like, "Oh, well, Rue doesn't even like you, or like she's probably too drugged out, so it's probably my time to slide in, and let Rue just willow away."
Very true. Very possible. Very possible. Toxicity, messy trio. Listen, folks, we enjoyed that you came on this journey with the Yonkō Table today, covering Euphoria episode 4, season 2. Listen, you can catch us on all social media platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and wherever you care to listen to us, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you pick your fancy, we got you covered. Listen, this is the Yonkō Table. We're about to sign off. Okay, I'm GrandMasterHoop. Shout out to Niece's Pieces, first time. And of course, shout out to returning Supernovas, Kame Chris, DoctaReeka, Darce, and NinoDesplasado, who had to leave us early. But listen, folks, y'all have a great night. We'll catch you next week for what might be the episode where everything goes down. But listen, y'all, take care.